Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. Want to do a video for you guys today on making soap. Soap making was something I watched the old timers do, something that I do myself, and I want to share a little bit what I know about soap making. Soap making is simple and complicated all at the same time. A lot of online resources when it comes to soap making, I feel make it fairly complicated. And I'm here to tell you that the online world of soap making forums and chats are not conducive to middle-aged men. It is definitely a realm that is hostile to people like me using old time recipes. Because what they have online is called a lye calculator, and what a lye calculator is it tells you how much lye that you need to put into your soap, so it doesn't make it too harsh on people's skin. And lye is one of the main ingredients in homemade soap. You can't have homemade soap unless you have lye. And if you have too much lye in your soap, it's going to be harsh. It's going to be harsh on your skin. But on the flip side of that coin, if you don't have enough lye in your soap's going to suck. So it's sort of a fine line that has to be walked. And I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit here about the recipe that I use from the old timers and some of the ingredients that I got here. And my basic soap making recipe is 5 ounces of lye, 2 pounds of fat, and about a cup and a quarter of water. And I'm going to go over all those ingredients separately here for you guys and show you some of my soaps. Lye is the first ingredient that I was talking to you about. You have too much lye in your soap, you're going to have too harsh a soap. So it's something that you got to get right. Now lye can be made. You can leach hardwood ashes, and you can make your own lye. That is a whole nother video, though. That is also a bit of a time-consuming process. The easiest way to get lye is just go up to your hardware store, your local store, go to the plumbing section where the Drano or whatever is, and get yourself some lye. Now this is a 16-ounce container of lye, and with my 5-ounce lye recipe, this will make 3 batches of soap, which is quite a bit of soap. So if you have 3 or 4 of these containers around, you got quite a bit of soap that you can make with that. And this stores easy. You can just put it on a shelf for the rest of your preps or gear, and you're good to go. The next is fat. You can't make homemade soap without fat, and the old timers collected all the fat that they could get, and they would store it in old cans. They'd have an old can somewhere in the kitchen or an old crock, and they would pour the fat from what they were cooking. Didn't matter whether it was beef or it was pork. They would save that fat, and when they were ready to make soap, they would reheat this fat, they would melt it, and they would strain it, and they would take all the bits out of it, and they would use that to make their soap. And this would make a darker colored soap. It'd be a real dark tan, almost brown colored soap when they were finished. It was effective, but it's not what we today think of as soap. And the fat that I like using is lard. Lard soap is basically a real basic soap recipe that can be adapted. But a lard soap, 100% lard soap, isn't going to make a lot of suds, what we're used to. It's not going to lather up like what we're used to with a commercially made soap. So I've actually adapted the recipe a little bit, and I add a little bit of coconut oil into it. So I use these solid coconut fats along with the lard, and I put in about 25% coconut fat into the lard, and then that will give you a little bit of lather. So you know that the soap is working, and it's more similar to what we use today in a commercial soap. So I take 2 pounds, I subtract 25%, and I add the rest back in the coconut fat. When you start adding oils and stuff into soap, it changes the formula and the soaps get softer. So I try to stick with basically just the lard and the coconut oil, so I have a nice firm soap when I'm done, and it's not too soft. The next is water. The best water for making soap is rainwater, and that's what this is right here. Every once in a while, I'll go in, and when I know a good rainstorm's coming, I'll go set a couple of pans outside, and I will collect rainwater. I will filter it, and then I will put it in mason jars, and I will hot water bath and lid that rainwater up, so I have pure rainwater to use to make my soap. And the more water that you put in your soap, the longer it's going to take to cure. And one thing when it comes to soap making, what I'm making here is called a cold process soap, I guess is what they call it, and it takes time to cure. Soap is something you can't make in the morning and use in the afternoon. It takes a certain period of time for it to cure, and the colder it is outside and the cooler the environment that soap is curing in, the longer it's going to take. If you make soap in the summertime, 30 days or so, your soap's going to be cured. Now, like this time of year, it's going to take at least probably 60 days, maybe even longer, for my soap to cure what I'm making here. Now, these soaps that I'm going to show you here are all basically that lard soap recipe that I was telling you about with stuff added into it. And this is what a 100% lard soap looks like. It's going to be kind of tannish colored. When you use this, it's going to kind of put a film on your hand. It's going to make a few bubbles, but it's not going to suds up. But this is actually really good. You can take this and rub it on a spot on clothes and put it in with the regular laundry. And this is actually, it actually works. It just isn't what we're accustomed to here in the modern sense. I got two other soaps here. One is an antibacterial soap, and it looks like this. And what this is that's that same lard coconut soap recipe, and then I added tea tree oil and homemade activated charcoal into this, and this is a basic antibacterial soap because tea tree oil, this stuff right here, has antibacterial properties. The same thing with the activated charcoal. It's a kind of a mild abrasive, so it cleans and it deactivates any contaminants that could be on your skin. So that's the two ingredients that I have in the soap, and it makes this kind of slate blue-ish looking soap. And the last one I'm going to show you here, I think is the best of all three of these, and it's pine tar soap. And pine tar soap has medicinal properties, and it's a dark colored soap, and it looks like this. It has a real aromatic smell to it. I can't really describe the smell. It has a smell all its own, and basically it's that same recipe with the lard and the coconut, and then when it comes to the point of trace, when you mix that lye water in with the fat, it starts to thicken up. That's what they call trace. Then you add a couple tablespoons of pine tar into it, and pine tar soap is good for the skin. It's good for dry skin, eczema, and I find it to be excellent for poison ivy. Poison ivy is something that I'm very allergic to, and when I get it, I have to have ways to treat that because I spend a lot of time out in the woods. Another thing, when you're mixing soap, you want to do it out in outbuilding, someplace that's well ventilated. You really don't want to do it on your kitchen counter, because when you sprinkle that lye into the water, and you always put the lye into the water and you mix it, not the lye in the container and put the water in. You never want to do that because you're creating a chemical reaction, and when you sprinkle that lye into that water and you mix it, you're going to create a lot of heat. That's going to get really, really hot. So you want to do that, and you in a ventilated area, and you want to take some precautions when you're mixing that. And when another thing is, the more water you have in your soap, the longer it's going to take to cure. So I always try to do a little bit. I don't want to overwater my soap because it's just going to take longer for it to cure. But anyway, I'm going to clear some of this stuff off my bench here, and I'm going to show you the basics of mixing this stuff up, and I'm going to show you guys how to make a batch of my pine tar soap. Alright guys, I got all my stuff out here and assembled. I'm going to show you what I'm using. After the soap gets to the trace stage, it's got to be put into some type of mold, and I'm using just a glass cake pan here lined with plastic wrap. That's so I can pop that soap out after it's cut, and I can let it cure. You're going to need some type of glass bowl to mix mix your soap and your lye water in. It's got to be big enough so you can work. Now you can mix your soap with like a whisk or something like that, but it's going to take a long time. If you have access to an immersion blender, use an immersion blender to mix a soap. It's going to mix your soap to that trace stage a lot quicker. I'm making pine tar soap, so you're going to need some pine tar. Pine tar, just like the lye, is something that you can make yourself, but it's a long, drawn-out process. You can get pine tar any place where they sell equine stuff. I got this at Tractor Supply, and a container of pine tar this big will last you for a really, really long time. And you're going to need some kind of spoon to put that into your soap after it hits trace that you want to discard. So you're not going to want to clean that pine tar off one of your good spoons. You just want something that you can pitch. And as soon as you put the pine tar into the soap, it's going to firm up even more, so you want to work quick. I'm actually going to put probably about 3 of these into the batch of soap that I'm going to make. I kind of go a little bit by color. The color is what I look for. You're going to need something to weigh your ingredients. I've already weighed out my lye. I've got probably a scant 5 ounces here. Just below 5 ounces is what I got here for this batch. Because my fat I'm going to use is lard. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start melting that fat. You can melt fat either on the stove. I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to actually melt this stuff together in a jar or a measuring cup, and I'm going to do it in the microwave just because it'll melt a lot quicker here. And then you're going to need some type of glass container to mix your lye water in. I'm going to put my my rainwater here that I canned in there. I'm going to put about 1.25 cups in there, and then I'm going to slowly mix these lye crystals into that until it's good and mixed. And this is going to get hot, so you're going to want to do this someplace where that's going to not matter that's getting hot. I am going to be wearing gloves while I'm doing this, and safety glasses just to be on the safe side. And if I can, I'm also going to show you guys how hot that water gets while I'm working. Anyway, I'm going to get started here, and then I'm going to stop and show you the different stages of this soap making. And here is my lye water mixed up. And I'm going to show you guys why you need to do this outside. You can see it there. Got about 160 degrees is what the temperature of that water is. So of course you don't want to burn yourself, so you want to do that someplace where it's ventilated and it's going to be safe to work around that hot water. I'm going to get my fat going here, and then we're going to mix them too. Here is my melted fat. I just melted it in the microwave to speed the process up a little bit. I got 1.5 pounds of lard in here and 1/2 pound of coconut fat. And then here's my lye water that I already mixed. It's starting to cool off just slightly. I'm going to transfer the fat into the melted fat into this glass bowl right here, and then I'm going to slowly drizzle the lye water into that while I'm mixing it with the immersion blender. You got to do this like a slow, steady stream is what you pour into this, so you don't have any splashback while you're working. Anyway, when I got this to the trace stage, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Alright guys, I have started mixing this. I put all my lye water in. I drizzle it in the thickness of about a pencil lead while I was mixing this, and it instantly turns that opaque soap color when you start adding those two compounds together. I'm going to keep mixing this now until it gets to trace, which means it's starting to get thick, and then we'll add our pine tar into it and transfer it over into our molding dish. Alright, I've been mixing this about, I'm going to say 7-8 minutes that I've mixed this with the, you can see it's starting to thicken up, and we're starting to get to that trace stage here. And at this point, if you just transfer this into your molding dish, this is just your basic white soap. This is just your basic lye soap. this can be cured and dried at this point. But this is the stage where I can also add other ingredients into this to make it whatever kind of soap I want. Like the pine tar soap that I'm going to make for you guys. Anyway, I'm going to mix this just a little bit more, and then I'm going to add my pine tar into this. As soon as I add my pine tar into this, it's going to set up rather quickly, so I'm going to need to work fairly quickly to get this transferred over into my molding pan. And now that my pine tar is all incorporated, you can see there how thick this is getting. This kind of light chocolate color here is what I was looking for. I did add about another half to maybe 3/4 of a tablespoon of a pine tar into it to get it to that color that I want it. Now I'm going to transfer it over to my dish and smooth it out. And here is the pine tar soap after it's been put into the molding container, smoothed off a little bit. I got about 4 tablespoons total of pine tar into this batch. I know you can put a lot more pine tar in to pine tar soap when you're making it. I've seen pine tar soap that was almost black, but I don't like it quite that strong. I like it just like this right here. This light chocolate, sort of peanut butter-ish color is the color that I like for my pine tar soap, and it's got a really, really good aroma. Wish you guys could smell this aroma of this soap because it is it's got a very pleasing smell to it. Now I'm going to keep a fire going out here in the garage all day. I'm going to keep this pan sort of on the warm side, and I'm going to let this go about 24 to 48 hours, and this is going to firm up enough to where I can just take a knife and I can cut this into squares, and I can take it out of this pan and transfer it over onto a wax paper lined rack so this can cure. This stuff is going to have to cure between 30 and 60 days for it to firm up and to complete the soap curing process. The longer the soap sits, the more it cures, so to speak. So anyway, when I'm cutting this here in a day or so, I'm going to show you what the finished bars look like, and we'll do a little wrap up. Alright guys, it's been about 24 hours since I put this soap in the mold, and you can see here it's firmed up quite nicely. I think that's part of the reason it firmed up so nice and so quick for me is because I kept a good raging fire in the garage all night long, so it was plenty warm in here. Now, when we cut this soap, we're going to need something to put the soap on, because the soap can sometimes be sticky, and the soap's going to have to be rotated from time to time during the curing process. So what I got here is a rack, and I got that rack just covered with some wax paper so that soap can't stick. Now I'm just going to take a regular kitchen knife, and I'm going to cut this soap into squares just like I was going to cut brownies, and about the same size, and then we're going to transfer it over to the wax paper so it can cure. And here is the soap after I got it cut. Now you want to cut the soap 24 to 48 hours after pouring it into the mold, because if you wait too long, the soap's going to firm up too much and it's going to get brittle and it's going to crack on you like this little edge piece did right here. And that's the reason that that cracked, is because the edges are curing faster than the center, so it wasn't as pliable and it cracked on me. So it's good that my soap's curing, but I got a piece that broke off. So anyway, that's just the way that goes. And this is why you put some type of plastic liner in your mold, because it's going to help you get those pieces of soap out a lot easier. I'm going to lift this out now, and I'm going to get them transferred over onto my wax paper and show you what the final product looks like. And here are my bars of soap all cut up. You can see I got them on the rack here. The reason you want to put them on a rack like this is so air can circulate around them evenly, and they can cure evenly. And I want to show you something real quickly here on this bar. You see how the center of the bar is darker and the outside surface is lighter. That's because this surface right here is starting to cure already, and the inside still has that moisture in, and the chemical reaction hasn't taken place yet, because that's the reason why you cure the soap, is the chemical reaction is still taking place in the soap making process, and then of course you want that moisture to evaporate off of the soap so it cures. And my little brittle broken pieces over there, you can see, are kind of lighter, and that's why they broke, because as this soap cures, it's going to get harder. Anyway, this is the final product of my pine tar soap making. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you got a little information on it out of this video on making your own soap. Being able to make soap, I think, is an important skill to have, just for your own personal use, but then also if you'd want to give or swap this out with your neighbors or something. It's just a good thing to know how to do. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys about it today. Anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys get a little information, a little entertainment out of my videos, and you guys have a great one.